Hi, my name's Madison, and today we're going to go over a very long list of book recommendations for fall and then what is on my TBR for fall. We're going to start off with some standalone magical. A lot of these will just say fiction on them, but they have magical fantasy elements, and I don't want to give you the wrong term. The first one being The Thorns Remain by J.J.A. Harwood. This is very cozy, but it's also got a little bit of a spooky horror element to it. So we're following Maura Jean. In 1919, she and a group of her young friends are just trying to survive in this small town when they go out, as teenagers sometimes do, into the woods to have a bonfire, have a little party, and they're dancing around the fire. They're jumping over the fire, and the Fae join them in what the Fae feel is more ritualistic activity to them. The Fae Lord is suddenly not happy and takes away Maura Jean's friends. And this is kind of the journey, the quest of her getting her friends back. This is Sign here. This follows two POVs. So it's Peyote, who is actually in hell, and he's in... Think of hell as a department, like a business, and he has reached a higher point of being promoted. And so he is on the list of, it's like you get tortured, you do the torturing, then you get higher and you go up to making deals with people to make them come to hell after you make that deal. Like they sign their life away for something temporary on Earth. You're kind of following this timeline of him making deals and getting signed contracts. And you're also following the Harrisons. They are a part of the Living, and they are just a family at a camp, and they're just living their life, but some weird things are kind of happening, and you're also kind of trying to discover how are Peyote and the Harrisons even connected. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue follows a young woman named Addie who makes a deal with the devil per se, someone mysterious, that she can live forever. She cannot be remembered. As soon as they look away and they look back, they have forgotten her. Until she walks into a bookstore and walks back out and someone remembers her. The other one is House of Hollow. It's about three sisters, and there's always been something weird about them. They don't remember a specific point in their childhood and back. It's like completely wiped from their memory. They just don't remember anything, and there's something weird about them, something off-putting. When the older sister actually vanishes and the youngest sister is trying to figure out what happened to her sister and is it related to what happened to them as children. It does have a little bit of a horror element, but I don't feel like it's scary. Another one is Before the Devil Knows You're Here, which is following two POVs. So we have a young woman who is living in a house with her pa and her little brother. And then we have Johnny, which is also Johnny Appleseed, and it's kind of a twist of a tale on him. He delivers apples, and these apples are poisonous, and you don't want to eat an apple from Johnny Appleseed. Three apples show up on this young woman's porch, and suddenly Pa is sick and Pa has passed away. Johnny Appleseed shows up, but he doesn't collect Pa. He collects the young woman's younger brother, and it's her journey of figuring out how to get her brother back, but you're also figuring out how Johnny got to where he was or is. Next, we're going to go into series. So all of these are fantasy, fairy tale-esque. So we're going to start with the Caraval trilogy. This is the trilogy that got me into reading. I absolutely love this trilogy with all my heart. It made me discover romantasy, I guess you could say. So the first book is Caraval, and it's following Scarlet. And she and her sister live on an island with her dad, and they've dreamed of visiting Caraval, which is a moving carnival that has magical elements. And they've written letters to legend, and they're like, please invite us, please help us get off this island. When one day they receive tickets to go, and her little sister Donatella might be the center of the carnival. It's very fairy tale-esque. It has romance that is clean, so not really any spice. It's so beautiful. It's so atmospheric. Next is the Cruel Prince trilogy, or I guess it's technically Folk of the Air trilogy. This is one of those like books where things are happening, but it's kind of vibes as well, and the stakes are high enough, but it's not crazy. It's very atmospheric, I would say. You're following Jude and her sisters. Jude and her sisters are living in a fae world. Now, her oldest sister is actually half fae, but Jude and her twin sister are not fae. So they do have limitations, and they are kind of a target in this world, and Jude she loves her home, and she wants to grow in rank, and it's just about her growing, and there's a lot of character development. A lot of people go into this thinking that there's romance. There's not much romance in the first one, but there is a bit in the second. The next is Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. This involves dragons, it involves romance, it involves an academy, it involves dragon riders. It's very high stakes. Think fantasy, Hunger Games meets dragons meets academy. But it's a fun time. It does have spice in it, so I would just be aware of that. Especially the second one has a large spice scene, I believe, that I ended up skipping. But overall, it's a good time. And the third book comes out soon-ish, so I feel like it's a good time to read these. How do I hold? I'm just gonna hold Kingdom of Ash. It's the last book in this 8 book series. It is a finished, completed series. Throne of Glass is my heart. I think about this book specifically very often. It is very interesting in the sense that I believe Sarah J. Maas had written the first 2 books when she was younger, and then written the older books when she was older, and I feel like that really added to the story because Celaena was young when we start the books, and then she grows into herself. We're following Celaena, who is an assassin that has been in a prison for a while, and suddenly she gets out due to the fact that she has been chosen by either the prince or the king to be in this battle to be a part of the kingdom's assassin. I could be using terminology wrong, but that's where the idea is. So there are trials, there's a kingdom setting, there is a morally gray character, female, who's very strong-willed, very strong-headed, and she's one of my favorite characters. Another is Beautiful Creatures. This is just such fun vibes. It is an older series, and I haven't finished it. I've read the first 3, I believe. But the first one starts out as a new girl moves to town. She's kind of weird. Everyone's kind of like off-put by her. She's also moved into this house with an uncle who has been a part of the town for a while, and he's kind of a weirdo to the town. It's a very southern town, very traditional, so they kind of just don't like anything different than them. When a young boy kind of sees her, and he is intrigued by her, and he desires to spend more time with her. So it's a mix of this traditional lifestyle and this young girl who's weird moves into town. And there might be something spooky, might be something a little different, might be something a little magical with her. And it's just like these 2 worlds collide into this beautiful atmospheric story of finding oneself, and it's beautiful. Now let's go into some romance. Another recommendation is 5 Questions, which is my novelette. It's set during the school year, and then it moves through seasons. It was released August 19th, so it's fairly new. Not many people have their hands on it, But it's about Hazel and Chase. So Hazel has grown up in a hard home life where she's kind of neglected emotionally. Her mom's not really around and she takes care of her younger siblings. So she hasn't really experienced love and she is just kind of mad at the world. And then we're following Chase, who is this bad kid that is expected the worst of him. Nobody expects him to be better than he is. And so he just kind of falls into that trap of being what people expect him to be. So what happens when those two people who are broken come together? Next is some juvenile fiction. I love a good juvenile fiction to just kind of break it up a little bit. They're easy to read. First, I recommend Curiosity House, The Shrunken Head. This follows 4 weird supernatural ability kids who were orphaned, but they were accepted into this curiosity house, which is a house of curiosities where there's like weird things from little objects like from the Egyptians or George Washington's teeth. Like, it's just weird items, and these 4 kids have different special abilities. One can throw knives at a perfect target, and another one can fit into small places. Another one can read minds or kind of what's in somebody's pockets. And then the other one is just like supernatural strength. When suddenly some deaths start happening and they're trying to solve these different murder cases, they're also trying to figure out, is it related to their past? Another is The Girl in White. I recently finished this. This was an easy, quick read where we're following a young girl who has recently moved to a smaller town and her family owns a restaurant. And there is this woman, it's like a town where legends and hauntings, mysterious things are kind of praised. Like, back in the day, someone fell and had a bad destruction to themselves and they haunt this town. Like, things like that. They live off legends and spooky things and hauntings. That's what the town thrives on. That's where they get their tourists. And the young girl that we're following, she might not be living the myth, but an actual legend. Next is Truly Devious, where we're following a young woman who actually is going to a new academy or school. It's like a private school, and it's very prestigious, I believe is the word. Not very many kids get into this school. And there was a mysterious murder that wasn't really solved properly. There's kind of some loose ends with it. And this young woman has the desire to figure out what really happened in that or with that case. And then things start happening again at the school. And it's like, are they connected? Am I in danger? It is a series. And it's spooky, but I do love this book, and it's so fun. Another is Skeleton Creek. We read these in elementary school in the library, and these are scary, okay? And it's not like reading the book is scary. They come with videos that you like go to. She's like the original blogger or vlogger where she vlogs her experience and her friend is journaling the experience. So you're reading the guy's journal of this mysterious town and you're seeing it through Sarah, I believe, her perspective on the vlogs. And you like enter a password to be able to access the video. And a video pops up and you watch it. And those are the scary ones, the scary parts to me. But it's just a fun, spooky time, but it's juvenile enough that I don't think it'll give you nightmares, but it's creepy for a juvenile book. Now we're going to go into my ambitious fall TBR. Let's start with the standalones. We'll start there. Kind of go the same order as we did previously. The Night Circus is a book that I tried to pick up via audiobook and I just had a hard time following. So I want to give it another try physically reading it because it like jumps different perspectives and possibly timelines. I can't quite remember. But it's just about a circus that arrives without a warning. You're following 2 young magicians. I don't know if there's really romance, but I know that it's very atmospheric and very magical. So I'm interested to read it and give it another chance physically. I think I was just lost in the audiobook. The Midnight Library, I believe, is about a girl who would do things differently in life, and she stumbles upon this library that gives her the chance to do so. I've heard good things about this book. That's all I really know about it, but I'm interested in it, and I'm excited to read it. Three Kisses, One Midnight. I don't know if this is juvenile or not. I do believe it's on the younger side. What I know about it is that there's a girl that I think summons love or a connection or makes like a love potion. We'll read one at the back. In every season, Moon Ridge was a jewel box of a town, but fall was special. In autumn, Moon Ridge crackled with magic. Banked fires roared, the trees rippled with gold, and the wind whispered the distant promise of frost in New Year's last golden laugh. So it's set in fall, so that makes it exciting too. I don't know much about it, but it's shorter. So next is spooky fiction. So the reappearance of Rachel Price. This is a newer release about a mom that disappeared, and which is named Rachel, and they're suddenly like doing a podcast on her or something. And let's see, Belle is the daughter of Rachel, and when they're doing the podcast, she's being interviewed and all these things are happening, and Rachel suddenly shows back up and has this story of what happened to her that Belle doesn't really believe. So it's an unraveling of what actually happened to Rachel. Is she telling the truth? Gallant is a book, I believe, about a house that has mysteries in it. That's all I really know about it. I believe it's on the spookier, less thriller, more horror vibes. There's also some sketches in here that look like they might be from a journal. So I am getting scary vibes. This might be a closer to Halloween type book. I kind of wanted to dig into some cozy type spooky books, and I found this at the library. It's called The Perfectly Proper Paranormal Museum. It's definitely a cozy cover. But it's about Maddie. When her career flatlines, she retreats to her wine country hometown for solace and cheap rent. Railroaded into managing the local paranormal museum, she's certain the rumors of its haunting are greatly exaggerated. But then a fresh corpse in the museum embroils Maddie in murders past and present, making her wonder if a ghost really could be on the loose. And this is adult. Now we'll go into some series. I have started Crescent City, and one reason why this TBR is so ambitious is because it has so many series in it, and some of these series are kind of long. So this is about Bryce, who is half fae and half human, and that's all I really know about it. I know that there's some crazy world building that you kind of have to stay focused and get past. These books are really big chunkers, but the only reason that I'm like, I really want to pick it up is because it's Sarah J. Maas, and I love all of her books. So this is The Scarlet Veil. There's 2 books. The next one comes out in 2025, I believe. This is the first one, and I'm just going to read the little blurb. I like to go into books kind of blind, so. Exhaling slowly, he stares right back, his black eyes narrowing, as if I'm a puzzle he cannot quite solve. "You're doing it again," he says at last. I look away quickly. Doing what? Romanticizing nightmares. Doesn't that sound like a fun time? Next is Assassin's Blade. This is the only book that I haven't finished in Throne of Glass series. I made the mistake of not reading it first or third, and it's hard to go back to once the characters have developed, because this is a prequel to the very beginning. This book is called Half-Blood, and it says, "You will kill the ones you love. It is in your blood and your fate." It's about a 17-year-old named Alex who her and her mother have spent years running from the Covenant, which is a school where the pure descendants of gods hone their powers, and half-mortal teens like Alex trying to kill daemons for them. I think daemons is probably like a different word for demons. I'm not entirely sure. But I think there's like an enemy to romance, and I believe, I could be totally wrong, but there's 9 books, 3 being possibly novellas, the first one being published in 2011. And I think they're being traditionally published now, because this is a totally different cover than what I'm seeing on Goodreads. The angle might have changed because the battery went dead, so I had to switch it out. But another series that I am on book 2 of, I believe this is the last one, is Zodiac Academy, which is about 2 girls, twin sisters, who were orphaned at a young age and have jumped from foster home to foster home. When one day they turn 18 and they're in their own apartment for the first time, and they're kind of struggling when a man shows up and he's like, hey, you're Faye, and you have to come to this academy now, and turns out you're also the daughters of like old kings, I guess, king and queen. So you're pretty important, and you're a target because you're so high ranked, but you didn't really earn it. But you're also kind of a target in the sense of you're not raised in this cruel Fae place, so it's easy to pick on you. So it's their way of like learning their magic, but also learning to survive in this tricky place that doesn't really want them there. A juvenile fiction that I would like to read is a cozy juvenile fiction, which is The Magnificent Monsters of Cedar Street. Look at the cover, if you can see it past the library glossy. But it's about Cordelia, who loves working with her father, and they save remarkable creatures. And I believe that one day her father has disappeared along with nearly all the monsters. And there's like a cryptic note and a handful of clues to guide her to figure out what is up. And I believe that she has like a baby wolf friend and like these little guys that are left to help her kind of solve the mystery, which is cute. So I think it'll just be a fun little read. Last, I would just like to make my way through some poetry. This is Milk and Honey by Ruby Kaur. Sorry if I said that wrong. But there's beautiful illustrations, and I would just like to pick it up and read one every so often. But that is my fall book recommendations and my fall TBR. If you've made it this far, comment down below what you are looking forward to reading this fall, or any recommendations that you might have that I need to add to my ambitious TBR. And yeah, I'm excited for fall. In Arkansas, it is very hot, so I'm ready for some cool bonfire weather and magical air. I hope that you all have a great day, and I'll see you the next time I see you.